in your way?
No, it's fine. The aesthetic is good. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum. This is Imam Shoaib. I'm behind the camera. I've really just kind of played around with my friends and family and the audience and our august presenters for the upcoming MARIAM conference, Muslim American Research Institute, advocating marriage. And we just wanted to have a little informal conversation between us to share also with our audience about this upcoming event. And so this is a brief and informal conversation about marriage, relationships, and since we were together last year, I'm wondering if there's some content that bears repeating, or there's some content that has proven to be very solid information, even more so than last year, or some new insights, or some of the new insights that you expect to share with us over the weekend. But overall, the weekend of May 14th to the 16th, but overall, the idea is that marriage is challenged, to put it lightly, in the society today, and among Muslims, particularly, we might say. So don't worry. So it's all good. Whatever needs to be done, you can do that. Okay. But so what I want, Sister Rose Mary Muhammad, Margaret Rose Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to go ahead and start with you. Just tell us just a little bit about yourself for those people who will be getting this information and never met you. Just give us a little vignette about you, and why should we pay attention to anything you have to say anyway?
Well, let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
I was blessed to have a marriage that lasted 58 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was blessed also to meet my husband at the age of 14 and marry him at the age of 60. And he was 3.5 years my senior. And I'm just so grateful that we learned the lessons as we grew, from teenagers on up until adults, mature adults. The lessons of patience, because that's a tremendous component of marriage. We learned also the lessons of what we shared last year at the conference, and that is that marriage is a pact. P-A-C-T. And the P, I said last year, represents partners. Because you do have to be a partner in your marriage relationships. Two people make up partners. Sometimes there are more, but in marriage we're talking about two. And then that A in the word pact, to me, represents artists. You have to know the art of living, the art of loving, the art of lasting. That's an art. And it does take patience in order to do all three of these A's. And then that C in the word pact, I said, stood for communications. You have to be a communicator. You cannot have something in your mind and not say it, not share it, not show it. You have to be a communicator to each other, so that you openly share these thoughts, these actions that you have together. And then the T in pact is for teacher. We teach each other. And teaching is just such a natural thing if you are trying to have a good marriage. Because many times men come to us not knowing how to cook, so we help them to learn how to cook. We teach them how to cook. Many times we come to marriage not knowing how to do the things that require a house to have what it needs. I'm glad that in my early life I learned a lot of things. I was taught a lot of things. Taught how to hang wallpaper, taught how to paint, taught how to keep a house together, taught how to clean it, taught how to cook. All of these things I was taught how to do. But my husband taught me roofing. He taught me how to do sheetrock. He taught me how to do cabinet building. But above all, he taught me how to be a woman who who was not afraid to work with him. And of course, he worked with me, and we taught each other so many things.
So that's a pact, and that's packed full of information too. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And alhamdulillah, and we have the second generation of that before we go into just a kind of general conversation around the subject. One of the things I remember from your all's presentation last year, for some reason that Jahari window thing stays with me. I mean, can you give us a little brief piece on what that Jahari window thing is about?
You know, it's interesting that you bring it up because we're going to go a little bit more into Jahari's window at the conference this year, because it is an important piece in selecting a mate. Mm-hmm. We feel that it is a very important piece in selecting a mate and being able to stay with a mate and have a lasting relationship. But basically, Jahari, just for the purpose of appreciating what it is, Jahari's window is a schematic of who you are, who people think you are. It's actually set up like a window. Who you are, who people think you are, who you think people think you are, and who only God knows who you are. Mm-hmm. So that's the 4 panes of Jahari's window. Mm-hmm. And we're going to delve into it. Oliver and I talked about this year because we want to go into, we did the 7 C's of marriage, but we want to really go deeper into a couple of them. And I'm going to let him tell you about it. But Jahari's window is a really big piece of that because it allows us to engage, and that's what we want to do more of this time. We want to engage the participants so that they really can get an understanding, because we sometimes don't really understand how others see us, but how that all ties into that window pane of how we are seen. And so when you're thinking about a mate, it's important to know who you are, but also in having a lasting marriage, knowing who you are, those areas that need work, and how you actually go about doing it. Because marriage is work. It's not just a happenstance, it's work in order to keep it. And we've also talked about the fact that why is it that some people go 30-some years and then all of a sudden they break up? We just looked at some of the realities in talking with other couples and friends that we've known. What is it? What are some of the realities? And so we're gonna go a little deeper this year.
Alhamdulillah, excellent. So, as an excellent contribution, 2 females for 1 male. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works in this situation.
We are Allah's witnesses.
So, alhamdulillah. So Oliver, I think that you had you just completed a master's last year?
Well, I did it in I finished it in 2007.
Okay. And
finally got my paperwork graded and checked.
Yeah.
In 2008. So the sheikh I was studying, he's in Egypt.
That's good. And tell the people what the master's was in.
It was the master's I have is an imamate degree. It's called a master's of religious practice, the Islamic faith, and so studied all the different Islamic and Quranic sciences, and so we done quite a few papers and research. My focus was on developing a fiqh for the American prison system. Mm-hmm. So I did some studies of different Muslims who had been in prison and sort of studied their practice of the deen from our slave ancestors to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, Imam Muhammad, Jamil Al-Amin, you know, those prominent names, and so forth. So,
okay, alhamdulillah.